Okay, today's session 8, the qualification template. The qualification template is a standard template that collaborators should complete with all of the company information required in order for us to do a proper proposal and to get the correct information to enable us to do a proper proposal for a client itself. So if we look at the qualification template, it has two worksheets. One is the lead details, and the next is the solution required. So based on the lead details, you have to add the date in there, the company name, if a company has a website or not, their website address, their own address, the company address, who the contact person at that company is, the designation of that contact person, then the number of employees working at that company, the number of departments within the company, the number of HR staff in that company, and if they actually do have subsidiary companies, what those companies are. We then also require the footprint, whether they're a national or an international company. As you can see, it's a drop-down. And what current solutions do they have in place? That will enable us to know, by knowing what their current solutions are and if they have current solutions, on anything from migration strategies and how we can actually migrate their current data to the functionality which they currently have or currently lack based on that. So we also ask for the industry that we can actually start to generate our own industry breakdown based on our clients. It's also a drop-down list, and you can just select the associated industry for that specific client. Contact numbers, their office number, a cell phone number, and a mail address. What the current challenges are within the company or within the prospective client. The current likes of their current solutions. These are in line with the solution specified here. So if you add pastel, for instance, in there, or HR solution, what is the current likes of their current solution and what are their dislikes? That will also allow us to build a database going forward when speaking to other clients as well, as to what the customer experience is, and also allow us to better or for improvements on our current system based on the dislikes or the likes of other systems as well. If we look at the solutions required, all drop downs, and you can select whether they want CLIN, ELIN, MLIN, online TNA or PAS, and if they want multiples, you can start with CLIN there and add ELIN and say it's one per line, depending on what their needs are. Number of employees, this is very similar to the lead details, but this is for PAS. So this is just HR, so the number of employees or the number of employees that's going to make use or which have to be loaded on our HR system. The number of managers for those employees, which will require management access. The number of HR manager access that is required. An HR manager has more functionality required, so the number of HR managers that will require access. If they currently have communication templates that we need to set up in the system for automated communication and or as part of their processes. If they have current processes which we need to automate in the system, and how many processes there are that need to be automated in the or as part of our PAS solution. If we move to CLearn, the number of learners which they currently are going to have on the system itself, the number of back office users, the number of managers. If they have clients which will also access the system, then they will require client portal access, and the number of clients that will require portal access. If they do require a learner self-registration portal, yes or no, and if they have internal processes as part of the classroom-based learning solution, which they need to automate. Then the templates and the number of templates, which will then need to be added or created in the system, which can then be linked to the automation processes as well. If we look at the system requirements, let's first finish up with that. So our other products, eLearn, the number of learners that is going to use eLearn, the number of managers, the number of administrators for eLearn, the number of learners if they want to opt in for a course catalog, the number of learners which they want to give access to the course catalog, if they need a payment gateway as well, and if they need an online shop, so i.e. they want to resell or create their own courses and then upsell that via an online shop. So that's also just a yes, no. If we look at mLearn, our mobile learning solution, the number of learners, number of managers, number of administrators, number of learners which should access a course catalog via mLearn, if they need a payment gateway within the mLearn solution, if they want an online shop linked to the mLearn solution, if they want facial or the biometric authentication as well, and there's another product which is going to come in here as well, which is ongoing facial recognition as well. But this is just for authentication purposes. And then if they actually require offline use of all of the applications within mLearn as well. So if we go to the system requirements, do they require a dedicated server? Yes or no? Do they require a branded iOS and Android app to access the e-learning or mLearn courses? Access to the skills catalog? Yes or no? The number of games to be developed. What we need to remember here is a game is your standard module or course which needs to be developed, but your questionnaires or your summative and formative examinations which have to take place all counts as a game as well. Then if we have a look at the number of existing e-learning courses from which we need to extrapolate information. So if they currently have a course catalog or e-learning courses and they would like us to gamify the same, we just need to know how many courses need to be gamified. And that is basically the information that we need on our qualification template. Okay, question and answer time. It was a quickie, so if you do have any questions, now's the time.
Another one of these yes-like things. The current solutions, are those also drop down?
Current solutions in place, yes. So if they have a C-Learn solution, you can add a C-Learn solution. So they currently have an LMS or a class-based solution. You select the C-Learn solution in there, what their likes are, and what their dislikes are, based on the solutions which you've entered.
Okay, so the current solutions are past competence solutions, not general solutions.
Yeah, this is that is linked to ours. So it's basically to know our competition and what our competition strengths and weaknesses based on user perception.
Sorry, now you lost me because you mentioned Pastel somewhere. So,
yeah.
So where does Pastel come into?
Well, if we look at a Pastel solution, Pastel has an HR solution, for instance. So on Pastel, you can actually have Pastel, for instance, will be PASS. And if they have Pastel in there, you can actually say what they like about Pastel and what they don't like. So
you've lost me there. The current solutions are past competence solutions.
We will just change that. It's not current.
You can. Oh, I see what you mean. So where it says current solutions, you could make number one Pastel.
Yes.
Instead of PASS.
Yes.
And then if you put Pastel in, then do you also put okay, you have to write in the like or the dislike.
Oh, because depending on certain people, we can't put drop downs based on our assumptions of what they will and
no,
won't
I
like.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
So that's why that is typing fields and also the current challenges that they are experiencing. To add that in there as well. The current challenges, if they currently have a solution in place, but they have a current challenge, we know that that is an inability of a competitor system for a specific use. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I'm still. So just to go back to the current solution in place, can you type in there pastel?
No. This is based on our solution. So if their current solution is equal to our pass, you add pass in there. And then
But
in
pastel's an accounting system.
No, Pastel has various formats or modules within Pastel. It's not just accounting.
Okay, so you would have to know what the range of competitive products were.
Well, if you speak to the client, or when you speak to the client, because you actually complete this whilst you've got the client there. So one of your questions, these are basically question guidelines. Okay. So what current solution do you have in place for your HR management or performance management? And then they'll say, we currently use the Pastel version or the Sage 300 version for our performance management. Okay, cool. What do you like? What don't you like? What are the current challenges? Because a like on a current system gives us something the clients actually enjoy using so that we can either replicate or improve in our system. If we look at a dislike of a current solution, that means for us to either avoid or to improve. And if we look at the current challenges, that means it is lacking portions of the system where we can get ahead of the competition or perhaps have a captured market or a unique selling proposition for clients if we know that a specific solution doesn't cater for specific requirements.
So essentially, the things that go under current solutions in place are going to be either performance management products or learning products.
Yes. Or they, for instance, if they currently have already a training needs analysis, but it is an Excel-based spreadsheet which they manually create, or they have an online training needs analysis or training needs analysis, but it is currently performed via a consultant.
So you're going to ask them, do you have a performance management system? If so, what is it? Are you using any learning platforms? If so, what are they? And do you have a formalized training needs analysis? And if so, what is it? That's basically the questions you're going to ask.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of them, for instance, let's say, for instance, they currently have a classroom-based LMS or they have an e-learning solution, i.e. eLearn. But we know, for instance, that they don't have a mobile learning solution and they want to go the mobile learning route. Yes. Then we know that the current mobile learning, we have to replace the current e-learning or interface with that, as well as provide a mobile learning on top of it.
So it would be, I mean, just from a learning point of view, it would be worthwhile looking for us in advance of going into the field with this to look at what performance management options there are out there and what M-learning and what e-learning and what TNA options there are out there that a client might be using.
Well, if you want to, you can, but you will never have, in any case, or know about all of them.
Okay, I'm with you. Especially if they're using a spreadsheet or something like that.
And there's a plethora of options available out there, which allows for certain functionality, but not all. And that is why current clients which have a current system is looking for either a new system, but in most cases, the current system is an Excel-based spreadsheet. If I look at training providers, the number of training providers currently out there which run their whole training center via a spreadsheet is amazing. Can't believe how many training providers still run their current training center via a spreadsheet. Even the scheduling is done by a spreadsheet.
Yeah, because I mean, I have a client who is very knowledgeable about spreadsheets, and he runs his whole business around Google Sheets or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's called Google Sheets, and everything is all the calls and follow-ups and everything else all somehow or other seem to be driven by Google Sheets.
Sorry, I didn't catch, your microphone broke up a little. So I didn't catch all.
He uses Google Sheets to
Yes.
drive everything in his business.
Yeah.
We had a link to.
We had a client. It's a large international company, which actually drove a whole portion of their business based on an Excel spreadsheet, which a third-party company created for them 20 years ago. And it has grown so large, and because it's used so extensively, they never thought of actually migrating because it's working.
Yes.
And they are running the whole department's functionality internationally of an Excel spreadsheet.
Scary in a way.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, Bryce?
No, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, look, obviously once you get into the solution area, there are a whole lot of questions there. Do any of those questions drive the budget, the price? I mean, obviously they would, wouldn't they?
All of them will affect the price, because if you look at the calculator,
and it's built into the pricing story, is it?
It's built into the pricing as well. So whatever you add in here, if you go to the calculator, this is all input information that you use based on the calculator as well.
Okay. And is it easy then to look at the connectivity of these things? I mean, if the client has a budget, I mean, are they going to play with? I mean, some of these things like number of games to be developed, presumably, the more games, the more the cost.
Yes.
And some of the other things are just straight one-off parameters, like they want. I mean, is there a cost implication to them wanting a payment gateway? Is there a cost implication to them wanting an online shop? Do those drive cost aspects of the quote?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And because as soon as you want an online shop, they are actually becoming a retailer or a reseller for either their own products or our products. And that means, depending on how we want to integrate, we can provide them with various solutions. But then you're getting into the more nitty-gritty and not your standard solutions that is going to be required. But this will identify those for us to know where we should directly get involved on a pricing or on a pricing structure. Because this allows it, this identifies the technical complexity, that is involved for the solution.
Okay. Yeah. So and basically, when you look at number of learners, is there a pre assumption regarding what you're going to charge per learner, or does that have to be fed in some way?
No, that is on the quote calculator. On the quote calculator, if you remember when we covered the quote calculator,
yes,
that is used in the input on the quote calculator, and based on that, it automatically calculates your price as well.
So if you put on the quote calculator that you're going to charge 50 Rand a learner, then yes, it'll feed, this will feed through to that.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But you will use this to populate the calculator. It doesn't pull through the number here, as far as I know. It doesn't pull through to the calculator. You'll use this, and then obviously take this as your basis when you calculate the quote.
Yeah, this is
okay, so the one doesn't feed the other. It's not a parameter driven thing.
We can do it that it feeds the other, that means that you're going to have to save it based on a per company name as well.
Yeah.
But if we do that, that means you're going to have to save it on a per company. Otherwise, it's going to overwrite the template itself.
Yes.
So let's take a what hopefully is a relatively simple example. Let's say with CLearn. Let's say you've got a school that wants to use CLearn.
Yes.
You would then not have all these other things for eLearn and MLearn and all these other things or pass.
That means so if you select CLearn, you just go to the CLearn section.
Yes.
And populate the CLearn section as well as your system requirements.
Okay.
So that is basically applicable to CLearn. That's why we've added the naming on there as well, based on the product.
So you would then, on that schedule in front of us at the moment, there'd be no eLearn and no MLearn. If you take that eLearn and MLearn now,
no, it doesn't change the screen. That's why we named it. So if you
I see. Those
you populate the CLearn section.
So, okay. The others don't go away. The others don't
go away.
No.
Sorry, Bryce.
No. I just thought it was as you chose the solution, it pulled its requirements. But then you just leave those others as noughts and so on. So if the person just wanted CLearn, and I'm just saying with CLearn just because it's simple for me, then you would fill in all the CLearn requirements and you'd fill in the system requirements, that's all you would fill in.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And templates to be created for CLearn, what does that mean?
If you look at CLearn, you've got standard communication templates. I.e., for instance, communication out to your client at certain intervals. So you've got if you look at a school, for instance, you've got a report, a quarterly report, the student report, which have to be distributed via an email automatically. So the content of that mail, the content of that is a template.
Like, would it not be then easier to put in? I mean, the type of templates that are required, like for instance, quarterly, weekly, or you can just say reports, quarterly reports, weekly reports. What else? What other templates must be created? Or is it too much? Too many?
No, if you look at per organization, CLearn can apply to a school, a university, a preschool, a training center, a technical training center, TVET center, and each of them has different requirements or different types of templates. Yeah.
So this is, sorry, I'm just trying to get my mind around one. So with CLearn, you'd say number of learners at the school, for example. There are 100. There's 3,000, whatever number.
Yeah.
What are BO users?
Back office.
Okay, so those are the people driving the system.
It's
at
the
back,
admin,
okay?
yeah, the admin staff at the back office. Yeah.
Number of managers, would that be teachers? No.
No, if you look at a manager, the type of managers that you look at, the way that CLearn can be used, like I say, it can be used where you've got a corporate environment and where your students, actually your learners come in, they've got classroom activity, but they've got a manager for on-the-job performance appraisals and.
And
so
you need to know the number of managers because these are people who've got a particular kind of access to the system.
That's correct, yes. Yeah.
Okay, then why would you have a number of clients in that CLearn thing as well?
Okay, because the number of clients, if you look at a client itself, from a client portal perspective, a client has, and the HR portion of that client has certain access, certain reports, certain views which we need to do. In order for them, if you look at a normal training provider, for instance, where they've got to complete and send through specific information to the CITAs for verification, for standard information that they need for the solution as well. Or you've got a standard training provider that is actually a client of you, and you don't want to communicate manually and manually send mails to the clients. You actually provide them all of the reporting and all of the functionality online via the client portal.
Okay, so there's some need for us to understand terminology, because I understand number of learners, I understand the back office users, I understand learner registration portal, but some of these other things are not that transparent. I mean, and they're not drop downs, presumably.
Yeah.
So
the number of back office users or client portal required, that can be a yes or no. Number of clients can't really be a drop down. You can,
and then processes to automate. How would you know that?
That's when you sit down with a client and ask them, do you have internal processes that you would like the system to drive? For instance, if you have a new learner, upon new learner registration or upon a new contract, upon a new contract or on any update on the contract, you want the client to be notified as soon as any additional learner documents have been loaded. If any update on the contract, or if a learner, for instance, was removed on a contract, to automatically notify the client of the contract change.
Okay, so it's a bit ingewikkeld to me anyway at this stage.
No. And the sad thing is this is actually the basic information.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and it's just that you need to. So you have to have a reasonably in-depth understanding of the system that the client is in and what they're using in order to be able to populate the template.
No, not really.
Not really. Okay.
No. If you look at this, is basic system functionality. The system has a template functionality where we can create system templates, which is used for communication, certificates, any stuff. We've got a template creation module in the system itself. So that is what that relates to. We've got a process automation or a workflow module in the system. So that is what that relates to. We've got a learner portal, and
that's straightforward. Yeah. So if I run down that table, number of learners, I can get my mind around easily enough. Number of back office users, number of managers with a bit of difficulty. Whether they want a client portal, that's straightforward. Whether they want a learner registration portal, that's straightforward. But the things that I would have to get my mind around would be number of clients, processes to automate, and templates to be created, because that is not kind of on the surface of things, as it seems to me.
If they say they want a client portal, the next question is, okay, how many clients do you have?
Oh, I see. Outside clients. Okay. So so I'm looking at a single user school, a school that just has pupils, that doesn't have any clients. It's only servicing its own needs.
Then it's going to be 0 and 0.
Okay. And then the processes to automate that a school might have, one would have to understand what they would have to understand what you meant by a process, and vice versa.
Yes. That's why.
Would it not be? Is there no thing copy and paste where you can actually? Because obviously, not a lot of the collaborators or associates attend these things, and obviously, this is vital information. There's another thing that maybe in a different sheet, you can actually then say what processes could be automated, what templates are available to be created, so that when you go into the client, you can then say to them, listen, so instead of the client telling you, okay, you can tell the client, listen, this and this and this and this is available, and also help with upselling.
Yeah, we can do that, but just remember that means we're going to create a list of processes based on the type of client on each industry.
But isn't there like, I mean, templates, for instance, aren't there standard templates? Like you said, you mentioned the obviously, okay, so it will be the type of the business. If it's a school, obviously, if it's a manufacturing business, I mean, all the different types of templates that are available. I mean, school, but isn't there? I mean, you know better than us now. The system is the templates not very much of a muchness, or are they a vast difference?
There is quite a bit of difference, and that's why you can automate any process. Our system allows you to automate any internal process, and that is what makes it so difficult, because you can, for instance, if you look at what we're currently busy with the company that we're seeing tomorrow again, the way that we are actually implementing our process automation model for them is completely different to any solution that is currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I hear both of you. I mean, what it does is it means that it makes it's not a straightforward sell when you go and sit with a client. For example, I know I'm obsessing, but if I went to Hilton College up the road here and said, okay, we want to put you on this new system called C-Learn, and tell me all the answers to these things, I'm going to have to really understand that industry sector quite well. Because if you say to me a template is, do you need a report to the parents? Some schools have an SMS system that sends out things and tells parents stuff and so on. Where does that fit in with templates and processes is the bit that would start
that is the basic knowledge of the system itself, because the basic C-Learn knowledge we have covered to say we do provide an SMS as well as email communication from the system itself. So we've got 3 communication methods in the system. Standard communication method, that is our task management system, the email management system, and the SMS management system.
So in the C-Learn documentation somewhere, is there something that guides you more specifically around a school? No. If you're dealing with the school? No, okay.
No, we haven't done a breakdown per industry, but we haven't done that.
Because it seems to me, yeah, the C-Learn thing, just, and I'm just using an example. So a C-Learn system might be sold to a training service provider. It could be sold to a university or an FET college, or it could be sold to a primary school or a high school or a pre-primary school. And the requirements of each of those is going to be different. And I need to understand them in order to decide to establish which processes need to be automated or which templates need to be created. Is obviously going to be quite.
I can tell you that we currently have in the other company on C-Learn, we've got 25, give or take 25 clients which are already using or have used the C-Learn in the same industry. I'm just talking about specific industry, not clients in total. All 25 of them differs.
Yeah, I know. It just
25 clients in the same industry, in the same sector. All 25 of them differ.
Okay, so it's not there's no one size fits all possibility here.
No, unfortunately, and that's why I asked right in the beginning. We need to understand what your niche industry or your niche sector is. Then we can help you in your niche sector to set up what is required for you to have a standard. But you have to have a niche that you decide if you want to go that route. You're going to have to decide on a specific niche, and then based on that niche, we can put a specific presentation pack and a specific in place. If you want to go to every different niche wherever there is a possibility, then unfortunately you're going to need a very wide business knowledge of all of those sectors in order to be able to sell to them properly.
So so now I know I'm going around this a bit, but what it means is CLearn is a complicated product to sell, as opposed to, for example, as compared to, for example, selling eLearn or mLearn, where the parameters are relatively straightforward. I mean, they virtually all drop down in eLearn and mLearn, but in CLearn, it can get more of a complicated.
Yes.
And
because there's various portals based on various accesses, but CLearn is our flagship almost, and with CLearn we can drive almost anything. If we need to initialize a spaceship from there, we can do that most probably as well, through the process engine. But CLearn is very complex, so it depends on what you want to go and sell. You can sell only the basics. That's why I said rather focus on the solution and not the product. If you focus on the solution that they require instead of the product and all the abilities of the product, otherwise you're going to sit there for 3 days to say, yes, we can do this, yes, we can do this, yes, we can, but you don't focus and you really address the need that the client currently has. And that is
But then if we're going to look at the solution the client wants, we also have to understand what the system can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to know whether the system can do that for them or not.
Yes. And that's going to take some time and a lot of effort to actually go through all of the abilities of the system. And that is why we've got this weekly sessions as well. The initial sessions is to get you up to speed as quickly as possible to get into the market. To have a technical understanding of what CLearn really can do for you is very excessive knowledge, which is going to take quite a bit of time.
Yeah, okay. Sounds like CLearn might be something to stay away from.
CLearn is the flagship product. It can do anything. We're going to use CLearn, for instance, now for a client, not as a CLearn application or as a classroom-based LMS application. We're just going to use it for the process management. Just due to the one component within our flagship product being so powerful that we can actually run and integrate the whole process management functionality of an international company. And that is just one component of the system.
Okay. Food for thought, as they say.
Mm-hmm. That's why if we know what the solution required is, we can also assist to guide you with the functionality, because there's very, very few people which understand CLearn in totality and the ability of CLearn in totality. The system was written unbelievably flexible to be able to cater for basically any market segment or any sector that it is required for. But that means that the knowledge and the capability of a system it's very, very, very big, very complex. So it depends on if you want to sell the basics, or if you have a large client coming up, which doesn't need basics but want to have, as soon as you get to those big clients, a small client's not going to ask you any of those. Small client's going to be straightforward. Most of the clients that I found is most of the clients up to about 2,000, 1,500, 2,000 active students. Doesn't use any of the other functionality.
Okay.
Where you get to a client which have 10, 15, 20,000 students, that is where you actually, where the biggest upsell comes in. And that is where your process automation, all of that actually becomes really relevant. But for your smaller clients, your smaller training institutions, 1,500 to 2,000, they don't worry about any of the rest.
Okay, yeah, no, that's that's interesting.
There's, what happens is people get lost in the amount of functionality instead of using the basics first. And that's why we rather do an upsell at a later stage based on what we can see, what they're currently using and how they're using the system.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to have an administrator or a project manager sitting there which got this new toy and he's going to play for 2 or 3 years with the toy without it actually being implemented.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Any other questions?
Good. Dirk, I think I'm going to leave. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
no, sorry.
I'm sort of covered, but no doubt there'll be more questions as we move ahead.
Yeah. Just remember, the basics you don't need all the answers for. You need enough information in order to make a concise decision. You don't need all the answers and you don't need all the information. No. We can rather go back and ask more questions from a client than trying to sell all the features, it's going to be an overload.
Yeah, sure.
So the basics, get the basics information, and the idea of this whole sheet is to get the basic information.
Yeah, yeah.
And then based on usage, we can then go and do an upsell based on the way that the client actually uses the system.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's me covered for now. As I say, as we start to wrestle with who to sell things to, then obviously more questions will come up.
Yeah. And like I say, it's focus first on the solution and who your niche market is. So start with your niche market. Then based on your niche market, we can provide you guidance to say, this is what we have found, this is what we currently have seen, but that's also why we ask the additional questions, because that builds up our list, which enables you guys.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Yep, I think that's great for the evening. And our next session is a week from now, is it?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And what are we going to do then, Dirk, just out of interest?
That is a good question. It all depends
okay.
It all depends on what the current. I believe we're going to go in more depth in PAS.
Yes. Okay.
That is most probably what's going to be, because from what we can currently see, that is going to be the quickest sell.
Yes.
It's going to be PAS and MLearn. So most probably we're going to focus more on PAS and MLearn, because with CLearn, it's going to be a rabbit that, what is that called? That screen character with a Alice in Wonderland. That's going to be that effect. Yeah. Go down the
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.